doing, Coley? Dad, what are you doing, Coley? Oh, I got somebody to admit. Phone. I got a truck and a phone. Oh. Or is the phone somebody else? Might be. Is phone Renee? He's muted. Or is that totally a second time? Yeah, it's Renee.
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Yeah.
Renee's here.
All right. So I got my screen up. Hopefully you can see.
Yes, sir. I can see it clearly.
And remember what we're talking about, the story of my life.
Okay.
And today is week 4 in this lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Using power to serve others in love. Creates a better story for everyone, including you. So we're gonna find out what does the author mean by using power in life. And this is a true thing, and it can be good or bad. Everybody has a certain amount of power. For example, a husband and a wife. One of them can say, I'm out. They have the power to do that, right? They don't have to stay together and they don't have to agree on it. One can just say, I'm out of here. We have that power in a relationship. Other kind of things, if maybe I have a little bit of money more than other people have, then I have a little more power to do things for my family and myself, but also have more power to help other people. So that makes it a good thing. The same way, I have more power to hurt people. So power is a very important thing to understand as Christians. When we have what we perceive to be power, how can we use it to serve others in love? If God has blessed us with the power or the ability, so poder in Spanish, right? Or to be able to do something in English is very important throughout our whole lives. We're able to do things that other things we're not able to do. But when we are able to do it, we have the power to do it, then we should do it to serve others in love. And then I'm going to briefly show you the questions. There's only 7 tonight. And
only 7?
Yeah, only 7. So as we listen to the video, think about these questions. So who is the most powerful person you know? Have you ever seen someone use power in a negative way? Trump, I don't want to get into politics.
No, I know.
In what way?
Who said Trump?
I did.
Jeez. Okay, that's a lot of time. All these questions can probably apply to Trump.
In what ways do you have power or influence? You know, I'm a grandpa. I have some influence over my grandson, other grandsons, and my granddaughter. You know, that relationship gives me a little bit of power and influence. Why was Jesus' action toward his followers, washing their feet, so surprising? Do you know anyone with power who uses it in this way? How does their power and influence benefit the people around them? And then two more questions to think about. Think about who you have power or influence over. In what ways can you use that influence to serve them this week? What would keep you from doing that? And the last one, how does serving others lead to living a better story? All right, so let's take a look and see if I can get back to the lesson at hand. Okay. Hopefully, I'm doing it from my iPad. I hope it'll be as good as when I do it from the computer.
So let's start this week by asking a question. Would you consider yourself a powerful person? Or let me ask it this way. Do you think of yourself as someone who has a lot of influence over other people? My guess is most of us would probably say no. Like, we think of powerful people as men and women who lead Fortune 500 companies, or are the heads of banks, or who are politicians and are making policy decisions for literally millions of people. Or maybe we think about sports figures or celebrities or anyone who seems to have a lot of influence over a lot of other people. We think these people are strong and direct, persuasive, dominant, and compelling. And we typically don't think of ourselves that way. But the truth is, you are a powerful person. All of us are. I mean, every single one of us exercises some power or influence over other people. And it may be a professional position that you hold or a relational one. I mean, maybe you hold a position at your job where you lead one, two, or a team of people. I mean, you could have a seat on your homeowners board in your neighborhood. You could be a parent who holds power and influence over your children. I mean, maybe you have relational influence or power with your friends, your coworkers, your kids' friends, or their parents. Everyone has influence with someone. And because everyone has influence, everyone has power. And so the real question isn't, do you have power? The better question is this: what are you doing with the power that you have? Now, this may not be a question you've ever asked yourself before, but it's an important one to consider as we continue to talk and process through how to live a better story. Because how we choose to use the power we have, it plays a huge role in experiencing the full, abundant, and better life that Jesus promised. But most of us, we aren't very good at using the power we have. I mean, don't take it personally. And it's not just you. The truth is, very few people in history have been great at using the power that they have. I mean, the odds are against all of us. We've all heard about the danger of power and how it tends to corrupt even the best of us. Abraham Lincoln, he famously said it this way: nearly all men can stand adversity, but if you want to test a man's character, give him power. I mean, isn't this true? I mean, it's not hard to find stories of people who've used power for their own personal benefit, who've leveraged their power and held it over other people, or have used it in some way to be served by other people. I mean, think about it. Have you ever used your position of power to make yourself look better than you really are? Or ever used it for your own financial gain? Or maybe you've used relational power to inflate your ego and to make yourself feel superior to someone else. Or maybe in your marriage, you've used your power to get your way or to make your spouse feel small. I mean, there are a million small ways all of us can misuse our power and influence. The temptation is real and the temptation is constant. And the problem is, there's just so much more on the line than just making some poor choices with how we use our power. An abuse of power can even lead to broken hearts and damaged relationships. And if any of us have done that, or if we've seen it done, something in us knows that it just doesn't feel right. When you see someone leveraging their power for their benefit and using it only for themselves, it bothers us. And I think it's because deep down, I mean, maybe even on a spiritual level, we all know we were made to do more with our power. Our power wasn't just meant for our benefit. But what do we do with the power that we have? I mean, even if it's only a little power, only a little influence, I mean, what exactly are we supposed to do with it? I mean, how do we use it for good instead of being used by it? While the problem of power is a big one, it certainly isn't a new one. I mean, from the time humans discovered they could use their power to benefit them, they did it. I mean, it's almost commonplace. It's almost expected that anyone with power will use it for themselves. And the same was true in the ancient world. And that's what makes the passage we're looking at today so remarkable. Because today we're looking at one of the four accounts of Jesus' life on earth. This one is called the Gospel of John. And in it, Jesus' friend John remembers the night Jesus was arrested and the day before he was crucified. It was also the start of a Jewish feast, the Passover. And Jesus and his 12 closest friends were gathered in an upper room of someone's house to share a ceremonial meal together. And it was something that families all over Jerusalem would have been doing. And right before it was time to share what would be the last meal before his death, Jesus did something that shocked everyone. But before we read about exactly what Jesus did, John gives us insight and clarity around why it was so revolutionary. So let's start in John chapter 13, verse 3. Jesus knew that the Father had put all things under his power, and that he had come from God and was returning to God. Now, essentially, John stated that Jesus is the most powerful person in the universe. He said that all things are under his power and all things are under his control. And Jesus knew it. Jesus was fully aware of that reality, that there was no confusion on Jesus' part over who he is and what he was capable of. He knew that he could literally do anything at any time. But more than that, Jesus also knew the tables were about to turn, that soldiers were about to arrest him in just a few hours, and that he would be beaten, humiliated, mocked, crucified, and killed. I mean, he was the most powerful person in the world, but he was about to die. So what did Jesus do with all the power he knew was at his disposal in his final hours before his death? Look at what John says Jesus did. He got up from the meal. He took off his outer clothing and wrapped a towel around his waist. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet, drying them with a towel that was wrapped around him. Now, I think it's almost impossible to fully understand what it must have been like for Jesus' friends in that moment. I mean, no one expected this at all. I mean, see, feet in the first century were disgusting. I mean, there was no paved roads, and animals traveled those same unpaved roads. So you can imagine what people's feet looked like and smelled like after a day of walking around in the dust, in the dirt, and in the mud. I mean, I bet no one wanted the job of cleaning the feet of guests as they entered the house. It was a job no one, absolutely no one wanted. But someone had to do it. And no one expected the Son of God to take on the job. But Jesus, their rabbi, their teacher, the owner of all the power in the world, did. He washed his friends' filthy feet. Jesus sat in the highest position of all, and no one would have blamed him if he used that position to his advantage, to get what he wanted, to be served, to escape his certain death, to take advantage of the following that he had. But he didn't do any of those things. Instead, he stood up from the table, he picked up a towel, filled a bowl with water, and lowered himself to the ground. And then God himself took in his hands the dirty feet of his friends, and he began to wash. Jesus chose to do the job that was considered beneath his position. He served, he loved, he gave away the power that was his to wield. He shocked his disciples because that's not what any other powerful leader they ever knew had done. I mean, not even close. And then he told his disciples, and he tells us, to go and do the same. Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet. I have set you an example that you should do as I have done for you. And very truly I tell you, no servant is greater than his master, nor is a messenger greater than the one who sent him. Now that you know these things, you'll be blessed if you do them. Now, while washing feet was the most visible thing Jesus was doing, the real lesson lay underneath. What Jesus was doing at the deepest level was showing his disciples and the world how to use power for maximum impact. You use it to serve others. I mean, Jesus showed us that the greatest way to use our power is by loving and serving those around us, because he knew that's how we live a better story. Like, instead of leaving broken hearts and broken relationships in the wake of our power, we can leverage our power to build others up and take care of their needs. And that's a better story for us and for everyone around us. Look, the truth is, everyone has power. Each one of us has influence with someone. We have control somewhere. We have authority with someone. And if that's the case, what if the real purpose of the power God has given you wasn't simply to benefit you? What if the ultimate use of that power comes in using it to love and serve those people? Like, we may not hold powerful positions, but every day we interact with people we have influence in and over. And every day we get to decide if we will use that influence to benefit ourselves or the other people. All of us have the ability to set aside our pride, our dignity, our ego, and what it feels like our rights to serve the people who are around us. Like, when God gives you power or influence, he has given you the opportunity to fill up what is lacking in someone else. I mean, just think about it. A genuine compliment to a coworker can fill up their encouragement tank. And paying undivided attention to your child can help fill up their noticed tank. Taking on extra housework can fill up your spouse's appreciated tank. Listen, out of the power that God has given you, you can spill out goodness to all the people in your life that you have influence with. And the best part about this is, when we use our power to serve, the effect of that power is limitless. It changes people's lives. Power given away through serving is how we can leverage our life to make the most difference and have the most satisfaction. It made a huge difference in the lives of the men who got their feet washed by their leader. They went from being scared and afraid to carrying the message of Jesus to the world and changing history in the process. During this series, we've been talking about the story of our lives and how Jesus promises to make that story more rich and more full and more satisfying, ultimately a better story. And he's inviting you to step into that better story by using your power to make a difference for someone else. Don't discount yourself because your power doesn't feel world-changing. I mean, some of our greatest impact can come from our smallest acts. You don't have to go out and try to solve world hunger. Just try to change the world for just one person. Maybe even start with changing that person's day for the better. And the beautiful thing about leveraging your power to serve others is that it can give you a tremendous sense of satisfaction, fullness, and abundance. I mean, serving others feels incredible. It's just like Jesus to bless us with power and then to turn around and bless us again when we give it away. God has set life up so that when you leverage your power to serve others, it creates not only a better story for everyone, it also creates a better story for you. So what power has God given you? How can you humble yourself to serve others this week? And the more you do it, the more you'll experience the better life Jesus promised, and others around you, they will too. The ultimate use of power isn't to get people to serve you. It's for you, in love, to serve people. That writes a better story for your own life and a better story for those around you. So remember, with the power God has given you, He is inviting you to write a better story.
Our discussion questions. Let's turn the light back on so Daniel and I can see. Can you hear us okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, good.
Oh,
He's just fine.
I can hear you, Renee.
Definitely can hear you, Daniel.
Oh, really?
All right, so question number 1. Who is the most powerful person you know? You have to know them. You can't say President Trump.
Or don't you mean President Trump? Don't.
No, I just mean President Trump. I'm gonna give him the respect. But I don't know him. I know of him. So who do you know that you can think of that has a lot of power? Might be your boss, right? That boss is in your own life, probably a pretty powerful person. You-
Everything that's over here in the corners. Not one sweater. Make sure you try to lie to me. It's really gonna like.
Could be Major. Major has a big influence on the core.
Yeah, so you could think of like a Salvation Army officer or a divisional commander. Whoa, they got lots of power, don't they? But if you ask them, they'll probably say no, they don't.
I think they have more of an. I think they have more of an influence than they do with power.
Yeah, and I think in the context of this lesson, we're we're, we're using power and influence interchangeably.
Yes.
So, Jesus had the power to not go to the cross. He could have done whatever he wanted. But what I'm talking about, and what I think the author here is talking about, is he had influence over us. Yeah. Are you giving us a sign?
I'll say hi to Coley because I didn't. He popped up on my screen,
Oh,
so I just said hi.
oh. So what happens is whoever's talking, unless I put them on spotlight, like I could put myself on spotlight, whenever someone talks, they pop up on the screen.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Or if there's noise in the background, they'll temporarily pop up on the screen. So he waved back. Did you see that?
No, I see Daniel and you. That's about it.
Oh, that's because
Oh, you
you
don't
and
see that I'm waving?
you and I are the only one talking. So let me see what I can do here. I can put screen sharing ended unexpectedly, but how do you make the spotlight happen?
I don't know. Renee, he might know.
No, I don't know. I know nothing about technology. Coley's more advanced than I am.
Yeah, Coley, how's it work?
I can hear Coley just fine. I can hear all of you now.
You're in the delay? What?
Participants. I'm not gonna worry about the spotlight. I'm just gonna share my screen again. Hopefully you can see. Hopefully you can see what I'm trying to show you. Discussion question. Do you see the screen that says discussion questions?
I can see. You can enlarge it too.
Okay. So we were talking about the most powerful person you know. Does anyone know of someone really powerful? Renee mentioned Major power, I guess. I mean, I could say, you know what? I want to preach all the time. So I'm not going to let Major Cheryl or Captain Susan preach. I probably could get away with that. They might even like that. I don't know. But instead, I say, no, it's okay. We want to share preaching. So we look at it that way. Maybe I should be sharing my computer screen instead.
Well, I can read the discussions just fine. I could even make them bigger the way you had it right now.
Yeah, let me see I don't know. We couldn't see it on the screen here. Weird. Share.
What? Oh.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Keep going, going, Major. The questions were on there, but now they're not on there no more.
Yeah.
I remember the second question. Have you seen anybody, abuse their power, basically, right? Over others?
Well, I was first trying to get some of you to tell me, besides Major Randy, who you think of that's got power.
Well, I knew somebody in prison, but I don't want to keep boring you guys with prison stories. But Raul was the paisas where all the Mexicans or Latinos all ran together, and they separate themselves. And even in the tables in the chow hall, the cop will come to you and tell you, "Hey, you need to sit over there with Latinos," or "Hey, you need to sit over there with the Asians," or "You need to sit over there with the blacks," or "You need to sit over there with the whites." They segregate us in the lunchroom areas, so automatically people are segregated. And in each segregation group, each they call them cars: the white car, the black car, the Paisa car, and the Sereno car, and so on and so on. But so the Paisa car, the leader was name was Raul, and they called him the yard guy. He was a yard. He was in charge of the yard, which he in charge of the whole camp. All the 172 Mexicans that were there, or Latinos, or Central Americans, Latino period. If Raul said discipline Renee, Renee would get disciplined by three others. If Raul says tell Renee to leave the camp, Renee would be leaving in a stretcher, or he'd leave by himself. One way or another, he would leave. And so Raul had a lot of power over a lot of everybody, really. And if Raul said no, it was a no. And if Raul said yes, it was yes. And that's just the way it was. He knew the rules. He came from the prison, and guy had two 10 life sentences. One he beat in court, and the reduced it 20 years. And the guy got out in 16 and a half years of prison. But he was a very powerful man where I was at.
You can see the questions now.
No,
You don't.
face,
You don't.
old picture. Well, not old, but I see everybody on the screen is in your picture, but no questions.
Oh, that's so weird. Well, maybe I go back to sharing the screen from my iPad.
You had it good when you had an iPad. Now I can see everybody.
Okay, let's go back to, somebody said something in chat.
Oh, yeah.
I'm good friends with Keith Blocker. I don't know who Keith Blocker is.
Esa boquita.
Okay, now you should see the screen again, hopefully.
Yes, sir. I can see it
All
now.
right, so you don't want to hear an interesting story. My nephew, who is in his 40s, I think now he just turned 50. He has escaped jail or prison, at least only for a very short time. And he does drugs, he buys drugs or has in the past. And he's paid lots of money to go to rehab, and none of them have worked. So I suggested he go to the Salvation Army Harbor Light Center in San Francisco. And he did, but he told me a very similar story. He said that there are people in the program where someone kind of becomes the boss, like the leader, and you don't say anything to the major unless you talk to this guy first. And at first I didn't want to believe him. So I asked the major in charge what's up with that. And he said, oh yeah, that's a thing. So it's not just prison, it's any kind of place where there's a group of people and someone tries to exert their power or their influence on the other people in the same program. And I would imagine that prison is even worse than what my nephew experienced at the Salvation Army. But there's a pecking order that gets established. And if you don't follow it, you can get hurt, right? So that's a thing. Is that a good use of power or is that a bad use of power and influence? You guys still
Well,
here?
I think it's a good example of a good influence of power. I think that's, like Major's busy. He's got enough stuff going on. Like, filter to this guy first to make sure that's something that Major that has to deal with, or maybe this designated person can, help resolve the issue and save Major the headache.
Yeah, except for it wasn't official. No one asked him to do it. He just sort of did it. And I would imagine in prison, it's very similar. Maybe the prison guards are taking a little bit of influence and power, but regular prison guys, maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's not. I mean, you'd be the better judge of that than me. So the question is, the second one is, have you ever seen someone use their influence and power in a negative way? And I think if we think hard about it, sure. People do wrong things and use their influence and power in a bad way all the time. So even a police officer can use his power and authority in a negative way. And not to get all political, but there was an incident that happened a few years back with George Floyd. You probably remember that name in the news.
Yeah.
He broke the law. He tried to pass a $20 bill, a fake $20 bill. And when the police came, one of the police officers put his knee on his neck for like 9 minutes, and he ended up dying. And people say, well, if you were going to break the law, bad things might happen to you. But, should the police officer involved have used his power that way, that a bad way? Most people would say, no, but there are people that say, well, he had to keep the guy under control. He had, been using drugs, whatever it was. But to put your knee on someone's neck for 9 minutes,
And then it ends up killing you.
somebody just said to me, hey, Major, I'm sorry.
Oh, that was Jamil.
Oh, Jamil.
Yep.
Let's see. We want to, does he want in?
Yeah, for real, Jamil.
He can't hear us.
I'm thinking he probably does want to, come in.
Yeah, I would see his name up there better, so.
He said sorry, I think. He said sorry, Major.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm not sure what he's sorry about.
Maybe being late or not being able to make it. I don't know.
Maybe.
He said he's there.
Let, I don't see him.
He said see us on Sunday. He got sidetracked and he missed the meeting.
Oh,
He
okay.
text. Something like that nature. He says see you guys Sunday.
All right, let's, just quickly, we only have a few minutes. Here's a good question, number 3, because sometimes we don't think about it that way. In what ways do you have power or influence? No, I don't have any power or influence. That's what a lot of people say. But think about it. Are there people that respect, you, respect your opinion? Could be family, could be friends. Could be former cellmates, that might have they look to you as a influencer, someone that they trust. So can you think of ways that you have power or influence? Okay, so I mentioned earlier, I'm a grandpa, so I like to think I have some kind of influence over my grandchildren. I don't think I have any influence at all over my children anymore, but I think I do it with my grandchildren. So because of that power that I may have or influence that I may have, I can try to direct my grandchildren in a positive way. Hey, you should talk to your teacher about your music skills, or you want to sing more in church. I encourage you to do that. Most people take those things on because someone suggested it. Okay, it says I'm trying. Well, let's go back and see how hard he's trying.
Jamil's in the lobby, it says.
Okay, let's see.
That's what holy text. Jamil is in the lobby. In the lobby group? Or in the lobby of the
Hello,
church.
fellas.
There he
Hey,
is.
hey, fella. Sorry, we weren't
Sorry
looking.
about that, guys. Yeah, I got sidetracked.
Go, Jamil, way to go. Okay, so
Yes,
the lesson
yes.
tonight, Jamil, we're talking about having influence or power over other people. So I was talking about, I have influence over my grandchildren. I can suggest things, they might actually do it. Where my kids, I don't think I have any influence anymore over them at all, but I probably do. So what kinds of relationships do you have influence over other people, power over other people? So if you supervise someone at work, then you have some kind of power. If you have a relationship, I talked earlier, if someone is married, you can leave the relationship. You have that power. My wife has that power. I have that power. We don't even have to agree on it. I can just say, I'm out of here. My wife can say, I'm out of here. So that's a lot of power to have in a relationship. If you have a best friend or someone that you share a job with, or you share a house with, roommates, both of you have the power to change that relationship. Of course, it's always better if you agree on doing whatever the change is, on doing it together. So we were just seeing in what ways each of us might have power or influence. So Daniel, do you think you have any power in your life over other people?
Not too much.
Not too much. So let me ask you this. Your brother, Lance, God bless him. You have the power to say, get out of my apartment, right? You have that power.
Yeah.
Are you gonna do that? No, but you have that power. That's something you can have to do. If you want him to change something, you have power to help influence him that way. Hey, roommate, brother, hey, roomie, I don't want you coming in at 3 a.m. anymore. I really don't like that. You have the power or the influence to say, don't do that anymore. And the same way, he even has some influence, over to you. He can say, brother, you're not using your walker to go to Bible study tonight. You have to use your wheelchair.
Yeah.
He's got that influence over you. Now you still could say no, but it's probably a good idea that you did. So you brought your wheelchair tonight.
Mhm.
So there's all kinds of situations and relationships in our lives where we do have power. We do have influence over other people, in any relationship, that's true. Now, number 5, do you know anyone with power who uses it when they say in this way, meaning a good way to benefit people around them, talking about in particular Jesus washing their feet? That doesn't sound like someone with power would do that, right? And we remember we had this same washing disciples' feet in another lesson recently. So why on earth would Jesus do that? He was using his power and authority
In
to
a good way.
serve in a good way to serve others. Now, Salvation Army, when we have enough resources, we help people pay their utility bills or their rent or other ways of helping, providing a church to go to. We could just take that money and run. Say, I don't want to do church anymore. I don't want to pay rent anymore. We're done with that. We as an organization don't have to do the things that we do. So we have some measure of power and authority, but we choose to help people with what little power and authority we might have. Number 6, think about who you have power or influence over, in what ways, and you use that influence to serve them this week. What would keep you from doing that? So whatever it is, if it's your grandkids, your kids, if it's your family or distant family, you have some influence over how things can change in their lives. What ways could you serve them in a positive way? Anybody want to share with that? I don't hear anybody. Either Zoom broke on us again or nobody wants to answer.
I just got a tricky way. Why does it say? What does it mean by? What do you mean by? What does the question mean by? What would keep you from doing that? Like,
Well, let's say you can think of some positive things you have power or influence over. So you could say, hey, I want to help my wife around the house more, or I want to learn how to cook so that she doesn't have to all the time. That's a positive thing that you could do. You have the power to do that. You don't need to ask anyone's permission. I guess you could say, how can I help you today, sweetie? But the reality is you have the power to make that initiation. You can say, I'd like to help. And here's how I'd like to help. What would keep you from doing that? Well, if you can think of ways you could help someone, what would keep you from doing that?
I think we all have power over anybody. I mean, we can really have power over somebody else if we use it as in a way of serving somebody. What comes to my mind is like today, I had 2 homeless people approach me for money, and I really don't have any extra money. I'm not gonna, break the last little 100 that I have because I need that for the rest of the week for gas and to survive for my own family. But I'm thinking like, okay, what if I break this to share with them? Is that gonna put me in a position where I'm gonna be taking from my family, or I'm gonna be lacking of? So what's keeping me from doing that? Is it maybe a little bit of lack of faith, or maybe I think that I'm gonna hurt them. I'm gonna enable them more than I am gonna help them. I mean, because if they're hungry, I could buy some food, but I don't want to give people money. I don't like doing that. I'd rather go buy him something to eat and give it to him. I did that one time for a guy downtown. He had a whole basket of burgers. I'm like, wow, you're asking for food. He just stuffs them in a bag. And he says, no, 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 I'm going to take them down to the camp and hand them out to all the other homeless people. He's like, but, people give me food, so I take it, but I want money. I'm like, then why do you keep asking for food? So a lot of times I think about that. There's sometimes like I don't know why certain people, God says, feel like my spirit says just give it to them, and I'll empty out all my wands and throw a five in there and give them $8, $9, and I tell them, God bless you. God said for me to give you this, and I give it to them. Not everybody. I don't get that feeling for everybody. I just certain people. Sometimes I get the urge to have to help them, and I will. I'll help them. I don't know why, but I'll do it. And even this, it's
God
just
tells you, and you listen. He says God tells you and you listen. No, so I think you hit one of the things that prevents us from doing that exactly right. If you find out that Major Randy can't make his rent or his house payment, you have the power to do that. But in order to do that, you'd have to take money from your savings. You'd have to figure out, well, wait a minute, if I give Major Randy rent money, what about my rent money? So it doesn't make sense for us to put other people in jeopardy just to help another person. So that right there is something that would keep us from doing that. Resources. We just don't have the resources. But what you could do is say, well, let's call around. Let's call the Salvation Army office. Let's call Catholic charities. Let's see if there is something else. I can help you do that. That's something I have power or influence. So I can get on the phone and say, hey, Catholic charities, this is Major Randy at the Salvation Army, and I've got someone here that needs to have their utilities paid. We ran out of money. We just don't have it. Do you have a way to do that? Can we sign up for that? And they may say no. We keep looking, and that's something that we can do. Find where the resources are. So we don't give up. I can't do it. Sorry, but maybe I can find someone who can. There's what's the word the phrase they say? There's more than one way to skin a cat. I don't like that phrase, but maybe that's all I could think of. So yeah, I think that's very important concept is, you know what, I want to help, but I just can't. I don't have the resource. So that's going to keep us from helping. But if we are creative in our thinking, how else can I help? Is I can help by contacting others and trying to solve the solution or solve the problem that way. All right, one last question, number 7. How does serving others lead to living a better story?
Because if you start doing it, not because you have to, just if you, even just the thoughts up here where you go, what can I do today? And just kind of, be thinking, clearly and just,
So one of the things I like to do in my life, I want to make a difference. I don't
Yeah.
know what that means for everything, but I want to make a difference.
Yeah.
So if someone doesn't have a job and they don't have food, all right, I can give them a food box. But what if instead I teach them how to find a job? That's going to be more helpful. That's going to make a difference more than just a food box.
Yeah, you're empowering them now. Instead
Yeah,
of just aiding them, you're going to empower them to be self-sufficient.
yeah, that's kind of that saying. I don't know if I got it straight, but if you give a man a fish, you feed him for the day. But if you teach him how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. It's that kind of thing.
Amen. Amen. That's wisdom.
Yeah. So sometimes it's you need to just twist it or flip it to be able to think, oh, if we did it this way to solve the problem, it would be more important, would be more significant. All right, well, let's close in a word of prayer. Let's see here. I need Coley to be here in person and be my operator.
Dang, Coley.
Corley the guru.
Yeah.
Electronic guru, Corey.
Wake up, Cody. Wake up, Cody. You sleeping.
Who's sleeping?
Cody.
Coley, no, he's multitasking. That guy's probably reading, doing work, schoolwork, or working on his computer and doing the meeting at the same time.
Wow, way to go, Coley.
He said, "My bad." He's there.
Oh, hey, you're bad? Well, you are right. You are bad. And yes, I love you, Coley. That's why I got this play around. All right. Oh, you go deaf? What? How many seconds do you think your delay is? 1001, 1002, 1003. Dang! That's why he's like hard. His delay is really long, it looks like.
Very long. It's been there. It is. No,
What
not
is
yet.
your delay gonna be tomorrow or next year?
Hey, Jamil, we're glad you were able to join us.
For real.
We were waiting for very long. I apologize because we were on a different screen. Didn't see you.
I apologize. I was in the side of the trailer. I got sidetracked. The
Oh,
trailer took so long, and I
How
lost track
could
of time.
you?
all right. Well, let's have a word of prayer, and hopefully we'll see y'all on Sunday.
Blessings.
All right, let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the lessons on living a better story. And we think about the things that we can do in our lives that have influence over others. And we just pray you show us how we can exercise that influence in a positive way to make the lives of others better too. Bless each one of us now, I pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Major. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time.
Thank you, Renee.
I'll see you guys Sunday, God willing.
All right, God willing.
Amen.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
The recording has stopped.